Hi, everybody. My name is Annelies Geraets, and I'm a coach who loves to explore the human experience and facilitate insights that can change lives. Before I knew the principles, I was on an infinite quest to fix what was wrong with me. As a young girl, my life was filled with trauma. I was born into a family where there was a lot of trauma, and as I look back on it, it looks like I was my story. I was so trapped in my story and all the psychological suffering that came with it. And fast forward to the age of 28 rather, my husband and I decided to move to Australia. And that was a place where nobody knew me and nobody knew my story. So for the first time in my life, I got to just be me. And I realized I didn't have a clue who I truly was. So that's where my journey started. That's when I embarked on a quest to find out everything there is to know about the human life, about my own life. I wanted to know why I ended up having the parents I had, why I had the life I lived. I started reading about trauma, and I was particularly interested in finding ways to fix myself. And on my way, I learned about different techniques that were very helpful, or at least that's what I thought they were. And I was very keen on sharing these techniques with whoever wanted to hear them. And so I decided to study to be a therapist. And then I learned more techniques. And the interesting thing about that is that I started to realize that people would come to me for a quick fix, and it would never be more than that. It would just be a quick fix, not a lasting fix. And therefore, my quest for the ultimate lasting technique continued. It just kept going on and on. And at the same time, I realized something else. I realized that whenever I was sitting with clients and in my head, I was searching like, okay, where does this fit and what would be the right technique and how can I help them the very best way and blah, blah, blah. I realized that I didn't really like those sessions. And before I knew it, I would put down my pen and paper and I would just listen. I would just listen. And I would say whatever came to me to say. And those would be the most beautiful and insightful sessions I'd have. But then I felt like a fraud. And so it continued. But then one day, all of that came to a change. And that's the day I got to know Michael Neill, and I learned about the principles behind the human experience as seen by Sydney Banks. And even though nothing really changed, my entire life looked different. In my work, for starters, I just dropped all of the techniques. I dropped every course I was taking. I dropped all the books I was reading. And I even dropped my meditation practice that I was doing. And I learned to be more in the moment and to really, really listen and to trust whatever it was that came up to say or do. And that just, yeah, it changed everything. Not just for me. I had a lot more fun doing it, but I could see the changes in my clients as well. And so, yeah, I kept on doing that, even to this day. And in my personal life, of course, there were a lot of changes too. But I want to tell you about something very particular that happened to me this year. And if there was ever a test to see if principles made a difference, then this was it. Because in the beginning of this year, someone tried to kill my son. He had been threatening to kill him for 8 months, but then one day he just totally lost it and he went for it. Well, thank God my son is okay, but this is a sort of situation that doesn't happen to you. It happens to other people in the newspaper. And so when it did happen to me, there was this, I don't know, weird sort of calm. It's as if I somehow knew that it would definitely not be helpful to panic when, for example, the boy was released from prison in order to await his trial. Instead, I really, really knew that the best thing for me to do was to just be present. Like, even if I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to say. This was all like very new to me. And I did feel lost, and I did have moments where I lost the plot, but there was this ever, I don't know, quiet, calm feeling underneath all of the noise. And one day I found myself in the church, and I was hoping for my child, and actually both of my children, to find peace of mind in all of this experience. And while I was sitting there, all of a sudden it came to me like, what on earth are you doing? If there was one person in this world who would benefit from having a quiet mind, it would be the person who tried to kill your son. And so instead of lighting two candles, I lighted 3 candles, and I put the candle I intended to be for this person in the middle of my 2 children. And I felt a longing to reach out and to reach out to this boy who I knew was trapped in his thinking. But I also felt this urge to connect with his mother, because she too is a mother. And for her, it would have to be as hard as it was to me. And so I don't know what the situation would have been like for me before I knew the principles, but I know for certain it would have been different. I would have I don't know what I would have done. But really experiencing what this understanding has done for me gives me hope. It gives me hope for every person who is suffering. Because me too, there was a lot of trauma in my life, and it no longer takes effort to experience this ever-present peace of mind, whatever my circumstances. And if that can happen to me, it can happen to everyone out there. And that's exactly why I would love for this message to spread like wildfire. Back in the days, Sydney Banks, he never doubted that it would spread. He used to say, it's a done deal. And I'm honored to be part of the deal. And I want to thank each and every one of you who is watching for helping me spread this message. Thank you.